Hello and welcome to a brand new MineColonies series here on my channel. For this series, I've built a mod pack around MineColonies 1.19, and the link to that mod pack is in the description. The whole thing is being filmed on my MineColonies server, which you guys can join. Again, the link for that is in the description. The first thing I need to do today is actually find a location for my colony, because this is actually Splash's colony, who is my brother who plays on the server. Now, I did some preparation for where I want to build my colony off camera, and I found a pretty good location. As you can see, we got some mountains here with also some nice ocean area. That'll be a good location to start a harbor. Then down here we have a nice cave-like area which is near the harbor area, and we can do some of the cave builds from the MineColonies schematics, which would be fun to try out as part of our colony. We're also very near Splash's colony, which is just over there, so me and him have agreed upon some boundaries as to where we're going to build. And behind me right here you can see we have several flat areas. There are some hills, but then the hills start to flatten out, so we can have a bit of depth to our town, but we won't have to do loads of terraforming. So the first thing I'm going to need to do now that I have my location is get myself a town hall, and I'm going to do that by making up a supply ship. As you can see here, we do have two options. We can make either a supply ship or a supply camp. If you'd like to see all the different types of supply ship and supply camp in the game, I'll put a link in my video description where I made a short about each of these different types. But I know that I'm going to be making a supply ship for mine, and as you see, the recipe here just requires 5 boats of any type of wood. So 5 of those in a crafting bench makes the supply ship, and that's how we're going to get our town hall and get started. As I said before, this location right here is going to be like a nice little harbor area for our town, so I want to put the supply ship somewhere around here so it'll be eventually in our harbor. I think I want the supply ship to go in this area right here, so what I'm going to do is just get down to the edge here so we can actually right click it onto a solid block in order to start positioning it. Now right now, if I press escape, I can get out of here and sort of have a little fly around and look at where I'm going. Now if you're doing this in single player, you can press escape and open to land with cheats set to on, and then you can put yourself into creative mode in order to fly around and position the ship and other buildings later on in the game correctly. Just make sure that when you have the location selected, you go back into survival mode before you hit the tick button and place down your ship. As part of my mod pack, I do have a jetpack that allows me to fly around though, so I don't need to do that. Also, I'm on a server, so I actually wouldn't be able to do that. But what we can do then is fly away a little bit, and then we can have a little right click here, and we can go to switch pack up here, and then we can look through all the different styles of ships that we have in the game. I'm going to be going mostly for a medieval style in my town, so I'm going to go with this medieval oak ship right here, as I think that looks really nice. So the next thing I can use is this panel right here, and what I can do is rotate the ship around a little bit, because I think pointing this direction might be better. Then I just want to move it a little bit so it's away from these rocks, as you can see here. And finally, I want to come down to the water level and make sure I get it at the right Y level, because if we go too high, then it looks like this, which doesn't look good, and if we go too low, it's a bit sunken down. So then when I'm happy that everything's looking good and I'm sure that these borders are all in the right place, yeah, that looks good to me. So then I can just right click here and go ahead and hit the tick button in order to place down my supply ship, and we get the advancement in chat there, MineColonies. So on board the ship, we can head in here into like the captain's quarters, and you see we have all kinds of decorational items that we could take down if we wanted to. I'm actually going to leave them in place as I like the look of this ship and want it as decoration, but we definitely want to explore all these things, like for example the barrel here. And this gives us 2 of our most important tools we're going to have in order to start a colony, and that is the build tool, which we'll use not just to start a colony but throughout the rest of the game, and also the town hall block, so we can place our town hall soon and get started with colonists arriving and building our colony. Exploring the ship further, you'll see we have some other things that we could pick up here if we wanted and use as resources for different things, and we also have some more lootable areas. So we've got here some stone tools to get us started and some basic build materials as well, and plenty of other materials you could take down if you wanted to destroy the ship, but I want to keep the aesthetic of it in the harbor because it looks quite nice. The next thing I want to do is place down my town center, and as I said before, I've sort of earmarked this location right here as roughly where I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this waystone for now, and we're going to use the build tool to place down our town center by just right clicking randomly here. Now when you do this, there's a new GUI that comes up in MineColonies, and it gives you all these different options, which are basically different types of buildings you can place down in your town. We want to head to this one right here right now, which is the fundamentals, and select the town hall building. So with that selected, we then need to select either alternative 1 or alternative 2, so there is a style that we're working with, and then we can press escape and run away from this. Okay, so now we're away a bit, we can kind of see how this looks, and if we right click again, we go back into this GUI to try things out. Then from this GUI, you can hit switch pack and choose whichever style of build you want to choose. If you'd like to see almost all of the different styles, I have made a video about that, which will be linked in the description. I made it a little while ago though, so some of the new ones unfortunately have not been included in that. You can of course play around with this in creative worlds too if you'd like to see before you start placing them down. So I'm going to go for the medieval dark oak. So what we need to do is go ahead and select that, and then go back into the fundamentals right here and click on the town hall and choose whichever style we want to do. Now what I always like to do is when I choose a style is go to level 5, because what I'm really interested in is how this building will look when it ends up, not how it's going to be at level 1. I find this just really helps with like town planning, and also gives you a much better idea as to which style you prefer. So this is one of the medieval dark oak styles at level 5, and this is the other one at level 5. So you can see they are vastly different. So this is the style that I'm going to go for, the alternative one of the medieval dark oak, and now it's just a case of figuring out how we want want it positioned. You always need to be careful to check all angles though, because once we have this entrance here, we can see this is in a correct position relative to the terrain. If we go around to the back of the build, we can see that over here there's this ugly looking overhang, which will cause us problems later on. So eventually I found that this was a good happy medium where we just need to do a slight alteration here, add a few stairs or something to get people in and out, maybe do a little bit of terraforming of the dirt around here, but then around the back here you can see that it goes into the cliff and is nice and tidy. So once you're happy with that, you can right click rebuild tool again and click this green button right here to place down your town hall. It's important to note that that is not your town created. In order to create the town, you then need to go up to this town hall block and right click it and create a new colony. If it's close to nighttime, you may want to consider sleeping through the night or progressing through the night first, because once you create a colony, the colonists will start to arrive, and at nighttime the mobs that spawn will attack them. So we're going to go ahead and hit create a new colony right here, and then we get this text in chat to show that we've done that. You'll also see now up on the minimap we have an outline of where our colony currently is placed, and you can see that in white there, and blue is the nearby colony of Splash. Like I said, he is living near me, and it looks like our first person has arrived. So hello to Noah E. Cobb, who almost trod on that snail right there, but he is our first colonist. Now you'll notice I've got a few torches on me right here, and it's a good idea to light up around your colony, because otherwise mobs will spawn and attack your citizens, which slows down progress and they get upset and start to mourn, so that will affect your town happiness and stuff like that. So I've actually got a mod in here where when I press F7 it shows me where mobs can potentially spawn on these light levels here. So if I place a torch down, you'll see these blue things here disappear. So this actually makes it really helpful to then go around, and if I see any of these blue areas, I can go and place down some torches in order to prevent any of the mobs spawning when it does get to nighttime. If you really wanted to, you could of course place down things like walls to protect your citizens from any mobs getting in and light up all the areas inside the walls, or even like dig down and trap citizens in areas and stuff like that if that's what you really want to do. Personally, I don't find that necessary, as I tend to rush getting into building a tavern, and then with the tavern, that's when I start to recruit new citizens anyway, because they have better skills than the ones that turn up at the start. But it's definitely an option if you want to go that way. So I'm going to go ahead and light up a load of this area around here, and then we're going to start doing some building stuff to start expanding on our colony. So some more citizens have now arrived, and we're about to hit our first nighttime. So at this stage, it can be a good idea to sleep. Before the colonists have beds themselves that they need to get into, they'll just return here to the town hall square. So if you've lit up around it like I have, then they should be relatively safe, but as you can see, there are always pockets you're going to miss. That was not planned. I didn't know I'd miss this, but yeah, I have. And so sleeping and passing nighttime is a good idea. Now, if you're on a server, sometimes sleeping can be difficult or impossible, so you can come up with some other solutions. Also, later on in the game, you want to make sure the colonists have a chance to get into their beds, but early game, when they've just arrived, let's get ourselves into bed here and sleep through this night. Now that your colony is started, if you'd like to see how to build your colony up, you can watch this video right here.